Jack Morrison stood in the center of the massive courtroom, his hands bound behind his back. The room was huge, bigger than any building he had ever seen on Earth. Alien beings filled every seat, their strange eyes all focused on him. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked like they were made of crystal. They all wanted to see the human who had killed 50,000 innocent people. The courtroom was on Zenith Prime, a space station so large it could hold a small moon inside it. This was where the Galactic Council made all the big decisions for the galaxy. For 50 years, humans had been part of this council, but they were still the new kids. The other species had been here for thousands of years. Admiral Kate Sullivan sat in the witness section. Her face was tight with worry. She had known Jack for 10 years, ever since he was a young officer fresh out of the academy. She had watched him grow into one of humanity's best military commanders. Now she was watching him face a death sentence. Ambassador Ryan Clark sat next to her. He was sweating, even though the room was cool. He had been trying to make a deal with the Alien Council members for weeks, but they would not listen. They wanted Jack dead, and they wanted to make an example of him. "Jack Morrison," said the judge, a tall being made of what looked like blue crystal. Her voice echoed through the room like wind through a cave. "You stand accused of destroying the civilian station New Hope and killing 50,000 innocent beings. How do you answer?" Jack lifted his head. His brown eyes were steady, showing no fear. "I did what I had to do to save 5 million lives on the planet below." A sound like angry buzzing filled the room. The insect-like beings in the jury were not happy with his answer. Neither were the reptilian saurians who had brought the charges against him. Counselor Vexstar, the lead prosecutor, stood up. He was a saurian, covered in dark green scales. His yellow eyes glowed with hatred. "The accused shows no remorse for his crimes. He destroyed a peaceful station full of families, children, and elderly beings. He claims it was necessary, but we have evidence that proves otherwise." The prosecutor activated a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed the space station New Hope, a beautiful structure with gardens and parks visible through its transparent walls. Then the image changed to show the moment of its destruction. A bright flash filled the screen, and when it faded, nothing remained but debris. "The human fleet could have negotiated," Vexstar continued. "They could have found another way. But instead, Captain Morrison chose to use his ship's weapons on innocent people. This is the true nature of humans. They are violent, unpredictable, and dangerous." Admiral Sullivan stood up. "I object to that statement." Captain Morrison was facing an impossible situation. The raiders had taken control of the station and were threatening to crash it into the planet below. 5 million people lived on that planet. Jack had minutes to make a decision. The crystal judge, Kolthara, made a sound like breaking glass. "The witness will sit down. You have already given your testimony." Kate Sullivan's face went red, but she sat down. She looked at Jack with sad eyes. He gave her a small nod, trying to tell her it was okay. The prosecutor continued his case. He showed more evidence, including communications between Jack's ship and the station. But something seemed wrong about the messages. Jack had been a soldier for 15 years, and he knew when something did not feel right. These communications show that Captain Morrison planned to destroy the station before he even tried to negotiate, Vexstar said. He wanted to kill those people. Jack's eyes narrowed. Those were not his words. He had never said anything like that. Someone had changed the messages, but how could he prove it? Ambassador Clark stood up. "Your Honor, I request permission to examine the evidence more closely. The messages shown do not match the records in our own databases." "Denied," Judge Kolthara said immediately. "The evidence has been verified by council technicians. The human delegation's objections are noted, but overruled." The trial continued for 3 more hours. Witness after witness spoke against Jack. Some had lost family members on the station. Others were military experts who said Jack had other options. None of them mentioned the 5 million people who were still alive because of his decision. Finally, it was time for the verdict. The jury of 12 alien beings left the room to discuss their decision. They came back in less than an hour. "We find the accused guilty of all charges," announced the jury leader, a being that looked like a giant mantis. "The sentence is death by soul burn." The room erupted in noise. Some aliens cheered. Others made sounds of approval. Admiral Sullivan buried her face in her hands. Ambassador Clark was already on his communicator, probably calling Earth to report. The bad news. Jack felt numb. He had known this would happen, but hearing it still hit him like a punch to the stomach. Soul burn was the worst kind of execution. It did not just kill the body. It destroyed the soul, making sure the person could never come back in any form. "The execution will take place on Tartarus 7 in 1 week, Judge Kolthara announced. "The condemned will be held in maximum security until then." 2 large alien guards, covered in black armor, moved toward Jack. He did not resist as they put new restraints on him. These were not just handcuffs. They were energy bands that would stop him from moving if he tried to fight. As they led him out of the courtroom, Jack caught sight of Admiral Sullivan. She was crying, something he had never seen her do before. Ambassador Clark was arguing with a group of alien officials, his face red with anger. The guards took Jack through long corridors filled with more alien beings. Some pointed at him and made sounds he did not understand. Others just stared with their strange eyes. A few looked almost sad, but most seemed happy to see him punished. They reached a transport ship that would take him to Tartarus 7. The prison moon was 3 days away. Even with faster-than-light travel, Jack would have time to think about his life and what he had done. As the ship lifted off from Zenith Prime, Jack looked back at the massive station. Somewhere in there, powerful beings were making decisions that would affect billions of lives. They had just decided to kill him for saving 5 million people. What did that say about the kind of justice they believed in? The ship's captain was a human woman named Lisa Grant. She was a doctor, not a soldier, but she had been assigned to monitor Jack during the trip. She seemed nervous around him. "I am sorry this happened to you," she said quietly when the alien guards were not listening. "A lot of people on Earth think the trial was unfair." Jack nodded. "What about you? Do you think I'm a monster?" Dr. Grant was quiet for a long moment. "I think you were in a terrible situation with no good choices. I think you tried to save as many people as you could. But I also think the galaxy is scared of us, and they are using you to send a message." "What kind of message?" "That humans need to know their place. That we are not equal to the older species. That we should be grateful for what we have and not ask for more." Jack thought about this as the ship flew through space toward his execution. Maybe Dr. Grant was right. Maybe this was about more than just him. Maybe the Council was trying to put all of humanity in its place, but if that was true, then killing him might not solve their problem. It might just make it worse. Humans did not like being pushed around, especially when they thought they were being treated unfairly. The ship continued its journey to Tartarus 7, carrying Jack Morrison toward what everyone thought would be his death. But sometimes trying to destroy something only makes it stronger. The Council was about to learn that lesson the hard way. The prison moon Tartarus 7 looked like a dead rock floating in space. It had no atmosphere, no water, and no life except for what the aliens had built there. The prison was buried deep underground, carved into the solid rock of the moon itself. This was where they sent people who were never supposed to see freedom again. Jack Morrison was led through metal corridors by guards who never spoke. The walls were covered with strange symbols that glowed with a dim red light. The air smelled like chemicals and fear. This place was designed to break the spirit of anyone who entered it. The warden was an insect-like being called Brixmal. He had 4 arms and eyes that stuck out from his head like black marbles. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding metal. "Welcome to Tartarus 7, human," Brixmal said. "You will be held here until your execution in 6 days. Do not try to escape. Do not try to contact anyone outside. Do not cause trouble. If you follow these rules, your final days will be peaceful." Jack nodded. He had expected this. What he had not expected was what he saw when they brought him to his cell block. There were other humans here, dozens of them. "Jack Morrison?" said a voice from one of the cells. I cannot believe they got you too. Jack turned to see a familiar face. It was Commander Pete Andrews, his former second-in-command. Pete had been reported missing in action 6 months ago during a routine patrol mission. Now Jack knew what had really happened to him. "Pete, what are you doing here?" "Everyone thinks you are dead." "That is what they want everyone to think." Pete sighed. His face was thinner than Jack remembered, and his eyes looked tired. "They have been taking humans for years. Military officers, scientists, diplomats, even some civilians. Anyone who might be a problem for them." As Jack was put into his cell, he learned more about the other prisoners. There was Dr. Lisa Grant, the woman who had been on the transport ship. She was not just a doctor assigned to watch him. She was a prisoner too, arrested for studying alien technology without permission. There was also Alex Morrison, Jack's younger brother, who had been taken while working as an engineer on a space station near the border. "Alex?" Jack could not believe it. "How long have you been here?" 3 weeks, Alex said from the cell next to him. "They said I was stealing alien technology, but I was just trying to fix a broken power generator." The alien parts were already in the machine. Jack felt anger burning in his chest. It was one thing to come after him, but his brother was just a civilian. Alex had never hurt anyone in his life. Dr. Grant explained what she had learned during her time in the prison. "They call it the final harvest," she said quietly. "They are removing humans from important positions all across the galaxy. Military commanders, research scientists, engineers, anyone who might help humanity defend itself." "Defend itself from what?" Jack asked. "From them," Pete said. "They are planning to attack Earth. They want to make sure we cannot fight back when they do." The next few days passed slowly. Jack learned more about the prison and the other humans trapped there. Some had been here for years. Others were new arrivals who had been grabbed just days ago. All of them had been important to humanity in some way. On the 4th day, something happened that changed everything. A new prisoner was brought in. It was a young alien not much older than a human teenager. He was a Saurian like the prosecutor who had condemned Jack, but he looked scared and confused. "My name is Zektar," the young alien said. "I am here because I spoke against the Council's plans. I said that humans should be treated fairly." The other aliens in the prison, both guards and prisoners, avoided Zektar like he had a disease. Speaking against the Council was almost as bad as being human in their eyes. Jack talked to Zektar when the guards were not watching. The young Saurian told him things that made his blood run cold. "The execution method they plan to use on you has never been tested on humans," Zektar said. "Soulburn works on our species and most others, but human brains are different. The Council scientists do not know what will happen." "What do you mean?" Jack asked. "Your nervous system is not like ours. We have studies that show human brains react strangely to the quantum energy used in Soulburn. Some scientists think it might enhance you instead of killing you, but the Council does not want to hear this." Dr. Grant had been listening. "That is what I was studying when they arrested me," she said. "Human-alien technology interaction. I found evidence that human brains can interface with alien technology in ways that no other species can." "That is why they fear you," Zektar said. "Not because you are violent, but because you are adaptable. You can learn to use our technology better than we can." Jack thought about this. It explained a lot about why the Council seemed so afraid of humanity. They were not just worried about human aggression. They were worried about human potential. The day of the execution arrived. Jack was taken to a chamber deep in the prison. The walls were covered with machines that hummed with energy. In the center of the room was a chair that looked like it was made from the same crystal as Judge Kalthara. Warden Brixmel was there, along with several other alien officials. They wanted to watch Jack die. Dr. Grant was also there, officially to monitor his vital signs, but really to witness what happened. "Jack Morrison," Brixmel announced, "you have been sentenced to death by soul burn. The process will destroy both your body and your consciousness. You will cease to exist in any form. Do you have any final words?" Jack looked at the aliens surrounding him. Some seemed excited, others looked nervous. A few, like Zektar, who was watching from the back, seemed sad. "I saved 5 million lives," Jack said. "I would do it again." They strapped him into the crystal chair. The machines began to hum louder. Energy started to flow through the crystal, making it glow with a bright blue light. "Beginning soul burn procedure," announced one of the technicians. The energy hit Jack like lightning. Pain shot through every part of his body. He could feel the alien technology trying to tear apart his consciousness, to break down the very essence of who he was, but something was wrong. The process was not working the way it should. Instead of destroying his mind, the energy was changing it. Jack could feel his consciousness expanding, connecting to the machines around him. He could sense the thoughts of the aliens in the room, their fear and confusion as they realized something was going wrong. "The readings are all wrong," Dr. Grant said, staring at her instruments. "His brain activity is increasing, not decreasing." The technician operating the machine looked panicked. "I do not understand. The process should be destroying him." But Jack was not being destroyed. He was being transformed. The alien energy was rewriting his neural pathways, giving him abilities he had never had before. He could feel the computer systems in the prison, sense the quantum fields that held the building together, even detect the life signs of every being in the facility. The pain was incredible, but Jack held on. He could feel himself changing into something new, something that had never existed before. "Stop the process," Warden Brixmel ordered. "Something is wrong," but it was too late. The transformation was already complete. Jack's body went limp in the chair, his vital signs flat on all the monitors. To everyone watching, he appeared to be dead. "The procedure is complete," the technician announced. "The human has been terminated." They removed Jack's body from the chair and placed it in a quantum containment field where it would be held until it could be disposed of. But Jack was not dead. His consciousness was still there, hidden in the quantum field itself, waiting. And learning. The news of Jack Morrison's execution was broadcast across the galaxy. Humanity's greatest military commander was dead, killed by the Council as a warning to all humans. On Earth, people mourned, some cried. Others got angry, but in the quantum containment field on Tartarus 7, Jack Morrison was very much alive, and he was no longer entirely human. 3 months had passed since Jack Morrison's execution. The galaxy had moved on. The Council had broadcast the news of his death as a warning to all species about what happened to those who defied galactic law. On Earth, humans were angry but powerless. They could not fight the entire galaxy alone, but inside the quantum containment field on Tartarus 7, something was stirring. Jack's consciousness had been dormant, learning and growing in ways that should have been impossible. The alien technology that was supposed to destroy him had instead connected him to the prison's computer systems. He could sense everything that happened in the facility. He knew when guards walked the halls, when new prisoners arrived. And when the warden made his daily reports, slowly, Jack began to understand his new abilities. He could touch the minds of other humans in the prison. He could feel their thoughts and emotions. When his brother Alex was sad, Jack felt it too. When Dr. Grant was working on some new theory, Jack could follow her thoughts. More importantly, he could interact with alien technology in ways that no human had ever done before. The quantum field that held his body was like a window into the prison's entire computer network. He could read files, watch security cameras, and even control some systems. That was how he learned about Maya Rodriguez. Maya was a former intelligence operative who had been working underground since the Council started taking humans. She had been a spy during the war, trained to infiltrate alien facilities and gather information. Now she was using those skills to build a resistance network. Jack watched through the prison's security systems as Maya and her team approached Tartarus 7. She had somehow gotten her hands on a small stealth ship and was planning to break into the prison. She did not know that Jack was alive, but she was coming to rescue the other humans. The night of the rescue, Jack made his move. He had been testing his abilities for weeks, learning to influence the prison systems. When Maya's team reached the outer defenses, Jack quietly disabled the alarm systems. When they needed to open locked doors, he opened them. When they were about to walk into a trap, he turned off the lights to warn them. Maya noticed something was wrong immediately. She had planned for heavy resistance, but the prison seemed to be helping her. Doors opened before she could hack them. Security cameras turned away at just the right moments. Guards were mysteriously called away from their posts. "Something is not right," she whispered to her teammate, a young man named Carl Newton, who was both a fighter and a scientist. "It is too easy." "Maybe we are just lucky," Carl replied. But he sounded worried too that they reached the cell block where the humans were held. Maya started opening the cells, freeing prisoners who had been locked up for months or years. Pete Andrews was amazed to see her. "How did you find us?" he asked. "We have been tracking the Council's activities," Maya said. "We know they have been taking our people. We are here to get you out." Alex Morrison was crying when they opened his cell. "My brother is dead," he said. "They killed him 3 months ago." "I know," Maya said gently. "We are going to make sure his death was not for nothing." But as they prepared to leave, something happened that changed everything. The quantum containment field that held Jack's body began to glow. The humming sound it made grew louder. Then, impossible as it seemed, Jack stepped out of the field. He looked the same as before, but something was different. His eyes seemed to glow with a faint blue light, the same color as the alien technology. When he moved, it was with a fluid grace that seemed almost inhuman. "Jack?" Alex could not believe what he was seeing. "You are supposed to be dead." "I was," Jack said, his voice slightly different than before. "Or maybe I still am." "I'm not sure anymore." Maya pointed her weapon at him. As a former spy, she was trained to be suspicious of anything that seemed impossible. "Prove you are really Jack Morrison." Jack smiled, and for a moment he looked exactly like his old self. "When you were 8 years old, Alex, you broke Mom's favorite vase and blamed it on the cat. I covered for you because I did not want you to get in trouble." Alex started laughing and crying at the same time. "It really is you." "But how are you alive?" "The execution process did not work the way they expected," Jack explained. "Instead of destroying me, it changed me. I can interface with their technology now. I can sense things that are happening far away. I can even touch other people's minds." Dr. Grant was staring at him with scientific fascination. "This is what I was studying before they arrested me. Human-alien technology interaction. You have become something new. We need to get out of here," Maya said. "We can discuss this later," but Jack shook his head. "I am not leaving. Not yet. There is something I need to do first." He walked over to one of the prison's computer terminals and placed his hand on it. The screen came to life, showing files and data that should have been impossible for a human to access. "The final harvest," Jack said. "I have been reading about it while I was in the containment field. The Council is planning to attack Earth in 6 months. They want to eliminate humanity completely." The information Jack showed them was terrifying. The Council had been preparing for war against Earth for over a year. They had ships, weapons, and detailed plans for invading the human homeworld. They expected humanity to surrender quickly once they realized how outnumbered they were. "We have to warn Earth," Pete said. "Warning them is not enough," Jack replied. "We need to stop this before it starts." Maya looked at him carefully. "What are you thinking?" Jack's eyes glowed brighter. "I can access their entire computer network from here. I can learn everything about their military plans, their technology, their weaknesses. But more than that, I can start sabotaging their operations right now." "Is that safe?" Dr. Grant asked. "We do not know what using these abilities might do to you." "I am already changing," Jack said. "Every time I use these powers, I become less human and more something else. But if I do not use them, humanity will die." As if to prove his point, Jack interfaced with the prison systems again. This time, he did not just read files. He began rewriting them. He changed guard schedules, modified security protocols, and even started sending false reports to the Council. "The guards will think everything is normal for at least 6 hours," he said. That should give us time to get everyone out. But Maya was not ready to leave yet. You said you could access their entire network. What else can you do? Jack closed his eyes and reached out with his enhanced consciousness. He could feel the quantum communication networks that connected all the Council's facilities. He could sense the minds of alien commanders on ships light years away. He could even detect the location of other human prisoners in facilities across the galaxy. There are more humans out there, he said, hundreds of them. The Council has been taking our people for years. Can you contact them? Carl asked. I can do better than that, Jack replied. I can coordinate a galaxy-wide prison break. Over. The next hour, Jack used his abilities to contact human prisoners in dozens of facilities. He taught them how to disable security systems, when to move, and how to avoid guards. He was conducting a massive escape operation across multiple star systems, all from inside a single prison. The plan worked better than anyone had expected. Human prisoners began escaping from facilities all across Council space. The aliens were confused and overwhelmed. They had never faced anything like this before, but the effort was taking its toll on Jack. Each time he used his abilities, he became less like his old self. His body began to change, becoming more adapted to interfacing with alien technology. His thoughts became faster but less emotional. He was becoming something that was neither fully human nor fully alien. We need to go, Maya said. Our ship is waiting. Jack nodded, but he looked sad. I do not think I can go back to Earth, not like this. I am becoming something that might frighten people. You are still my brother, Alex said. No matter what you become. As they prepared to leave Tartarus 7, Jack made one final use of his abilities. He reached out across the galaxy and touched the mind of every human he could find. He shared with them the knowledge of what was coming, the plans for invasion, and the hope that resistance was possible. The Council wanted to make me an example, Jack said as they boarded Maya's ship. They wanted to show what happens to humans who defy them, but they made a mistake. They did not destroy me. They created something new. Something that can fight back. The ship lifted off from Tartarus 7, carrying Jack Morrison and the rescued prisoners toward an uncertain future. Behind them, the prison systems began to fail as Jack's sabotage programs took effect. The warden would spend days trying to figure out what had gone wrong, but Jack was already thinking ahead. The Council had tried to eliminate humanity's leadership, but they had instead created something far more dangerous. They had created a weapon that could think like a human but fight like a machine. They had created their own worst nightmare, and Jack Morrison was just getting started. Earth was preparing for war. News of the Council's planned invasion had spread quickly after the prison breaks across the galaxy. Humans who had escaped from alien facilities brought back intelligence about the enemy's plans and technology. The planet that had once been eager to join the galactic community was now getting ready to fight for its survival. General Tony Barrett stood in the war room deep beneath the Pentagon, looking at star maps and battle plans. He was a big man with gray hair and scars from the last alien conflict. He had been fighting aliens longer than most people had been alive, and he knew how dangerous they could be. The Council fleet will arrive in 3 months, he said to the other military leaders. Around the table, they have over 2,000 ships. We have maybe 300 that are ready for combat? The numbers were not good. Earth had been building its space fleet for 50 years, but they had always expected to fight alongside alien allies, not against them. Now they were facing the combined military might of dozens of species. What about Morrison? Asked Admiral Kate Sullivan. She had been promoted after Jack's supposed death, but she still felt guilty about not being able to save him. The reports say he survived somehow. Can he help us? That is what we need to find out, Barrett replied. At that moment, Maya Rodriguez's ship was approaching Earth's outer defenses. The journey from Tartarus the 7th had taken 2 weeks, and Jack had spent most of that time learning to control his new abilities. He could now interface with the ship's systems directly, making it faster and more efficient than any human pilot could manage, but the changes in him were becoming more obvious. His skin had taken on a slight blue tint like the alien technology. he connected with. His eyes glowed constantly now, and when he spoke, his voice sometimes echoed as if it was coming from multiple sources. Alex Morrison was worried about his brother. "Jack, are you still in there?" Jack turned to look at him, and for a moment his expression was completely alien. Then he smiled, and he looked human again. "I am still me, Alex, just more than I used to be." Dr. Grant had been studying Jack during the journey. "The transformation is accelerating," she told Maya quietly. "Each time he uses his abilities, he becomes less human. I'm not sure how much of the original Jack will be left if this continues." "Maybe that is what we need," Maya said. "Maybe being human is not enough to win this war." When they reached Earth, Jack's ship was met by a fleet of human warships. General Barrett had taken no chances. If Jack Morrison had become some kind of alien weapon, Barrett wanted to be ready for it, but Jack made no aggressive moves. Instead, he reached out with his mind and gently touched the consciousness of every human in the fleet. They felt a sense of calm and recognition, as if an old friend was greeting them. "This is Jack Morrison," he broadcast on all frequencies. "I am coming home." The meeting between Jack and General Barrett took place on the space station Unity. Orbiting high above Earth, Barrett had chosen the location carefully. If Jack had become dangerous, the station could be destroyed without threatening the planet below. Jack arrived alone, leaving his rescued companions on Maya's ship. When he walked into the meeting room, Barrett was struck by how different he looked. The man who entered was recognizably Jack Morrison, but he was also clearly something more. "General Barrett," Jack said, "we need to talk." "Are you really Jack Morrison?" Barrett asked. "Or are you something else wearing his face?" Jack's eyes flashed with that strange blue light. "I'm Jack Morrison. I'm also something new. The Council tried to destroy me, but they created something they never expected. They made a bridge between human and alien technology. Can you prove you are still human?" Jack was quiet for a moment, then he spoke in a voice full of emotion. "When I was 10 years old, you visited our house after my father died in the Mars colony attack. You told me that good soldiers fight not because they hate what is in front of them, but because they love what is behind them. That is why I am here, General, to protect what I love." Barrett relaxed slightly. Those words had never been recorded anywhere, only Jack could have known them. "What happened to you out there?" Barrett asked. Jack explained about the execution, his transformation, and his new abilities. He showed Barrett how he could interface with the station's computer systems, accessing files and data that should have been impossible to reach. "I can do more than just read their computers," Jack said. "I can predict their movements, coordinate our forces with perfect timing, and even turn their own technology against them. But there is a cost." "What kind of cost?" "I am losing my humanity," Jack said simply. "Each time I use these powers, I become more like the technology I interface with. Dr. Grant thinks I have maybe 6 months before I am no longer recognizably human." Barrett studied Jack's face. "And you are willing to pay that price? To save humanity?" "Yes." Their conversation was interrupted by alarms. Enemy ships had been detected at the edge of the solar system. The Council had arrived early. Admiral Crixville commanded the advance fleet that had come to test Earth's defenses. He was a veteran Saurian warrior who had fought in dozens of battles across the galaxy. He expected the humans to surrender quickly once they saw how outnumbered they were. "Send a message to the planet," he ordered. "Tell them to surrender unconditionally or face total destruction." But the human response was not what he expected. Instead of surrender, Earth's fleet moved to intercept the alien ships, and they moved with a coordination that seemed impossible. Jack had connected his consciousness to every human ship in the fleet. He could see through their sensors, coordinate their movements, and predict enemy actions before they happened. The human fleet moved like a single organism, avoiding enemy fire and striking at weak points with devastating precision. "How are they doing this?" Crixville demanded as his ships took heavy damage. "Their movements are too perfect. No organic being can coordinate like this." The battle was over in less than an hour. The alien advance fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single human ship was lost. On Unity Station, General Barrett watched the battle with amazement. "How did you do that?" "I am connected to all of them," Jack explained. "I can see what they see, think what they think, but the strain is enormous." Barrett could see that Jack was right. The blue glow in his eyes was brighter now, and his skin had taken on an even more alien appearance. The victory had cost him more of his humanity. "There is something else," Jack said. "My abilities are spreading." "What do you mean?" "Some of the humans I have been in contact with are starting to develop similar powers. My nephew Luke back on Earth, some of the pilots in today's battle, even Dr. Grant. The transformation is contagious." But Barrett felt a chill. "Are you saying you are turning other humans into what you have become?" "Not exactly," Jack said. "They are developing their own versions of the abilities, weaker than mine, but still significant. It seems that exposure to my enhanced consciousness is triggering latent potential in other humans." The implications were staggering. If Jack's transformation could spread to other humans, it might change the entire species. The Council's worst fears about human adaptability were coming true. "We need to inform the Council about this defeat," Barrett said. "Let them know that humanity will not go quietly." "They already know," Jack replied. "I can sense their communications across the galaxy. They are terrified. They thought they were facing primitive humans, but now they realize they are fighting something entirely new." Over the next few weeks, more Council ships arrived at the edge of the solar system. Each time they attacked, Jack coordinated the human defense. Each victory made him less human and more something else, but the transformation was not just affecting Jack anymore. Across Earth, humans who had been exposed to his enhanced consciousness were developing new abilities. Some could interface with computers in limited ways. Others could sense the thoughts and emotions of people around them. A few could even predict enemy movements like Jack did. Dr. Emma Stone, Earth's leading expert on human enhancement, studied these changes with fascination and horror. "We are witnessing the birth of a new species," she told General Barrett. "Homo sapiens is evolving into something that has never existed before. Is that good or bad?" Barrett asked. "I do not know," Dr. Stone admitted. "But I do know that there is no going back. The Council's attempt to destroy Jack Morrison has started a transformation that will affect all of humanity." Meanwhile, in space, Jack continued to fight the Council's forces. Each battle was easier than the last as his abilities grew stronger, and more humans developed enhanced capabilities. But with each victory, he lost more of what had made him human. The Council had tried to execute Jack Morrison to send a message about human limitations. Instead, they had created exactly what they feared most, a human who could transcend those limitations entirely. They had forged the very weapon that would be used against them, and that weapon was just getting started. The war had been going on for 6 months. What started as the Council's plan to quickly destroy humanity had turned into a nightmare that was spreading across the entire galaxy. Jack Morrison's transformation was no longer limited to just him. Thousands of humans now possessed enhanced abilities, and their numbers were growing every day. President Linda Hayes stood in the Oval Office, looking out at a world that was changing faster than anyone could understand. Outside, she could see young people whose eyes glowed with the same blue light as Jack's. They called themselves the Enhanced, and they were becoming something beyond human. "The Council is requesting a meeting," said Ambassador Valkyrie, who had arrived on Earth 3 days ago. She was from an aquatic species that had secretly been helping humanity. Her people had grown tired of the Council's aggressive policies. "What kind of meeting?" President Hayes asked. "They want to negotiate," Valkyrie said. "They are losing the war, and they know it. Your people have destroyed over half their fleet. Their member species are starting to question whether this fight was worth starting." President Hayes nodded. She had been expecting this. The enhanced humans were too powerful for the Council to defeat through normal warfare. Every battle ended the same way, with alien ships destroyed and human forces growing stronger. "Where is Jack Morrison?" she asked. "He is out there," Valkyrie said, pointing toward space. leading another attack on their supply lines. But President Hayes, you need to understand something. Morrison is no longer entirely human. Each time he uses his abilities, he becomes more like the alien technology he interfaces with. The President had seen the reports. Jack could now coordinate the movements of entire fleets across multiple star systems. He could predict enemy actions days in advance. He could even communicate directly with alien computer systems without using any external devices. But the cost was becoming clear to everyone who knew him. Captain Sam Burke had been Jack's student before the transformation began. Now he was one of the enhanced, though his abilities were much weaker than Jack's. He could sense enemy movements and coordinate with other enhanced humans, but he was still recognizably human. I spoke with Jack yesterday, Sam told Dr. Emma Stone. He barely seems like the same person anymore. His thoughts move too fast for a normal conversation. He speaks like he is processing 1,000 different things at once. Dr. Stone had been studying the transformation for months. The enhancement is consuming him, she said. His brain is adapting to handle vast amounts of information, but it is losing the ability to process human emotions and relationships. Can we stop it? Sam asked. I do not think he wants us to, Dr. Stone replied. He believes that saving humanity is worth becoming something inhuman. Meanwhile, in space near the edge of the solar system, Jack was conducting his latest operation. His consciousness was spread across dozens of ships, coordinating an attack on a council supply convoy. To the human crews, it felt like having a brilliant commander who could see everything and predict every enemy move. But Jack was no longer experiencing the battle the way a human would. He saw it as patterns of energy and probability, calculating outcomes and adjusting strategies faster than any biological brain should be able to process. When enemy ships exploded, he felt no satisfaction. When human ships were in danger, he felt no fear. He simply adjusted the tactical situation to achieve the desired outcome. Dr. Alan Ross had been working with enhanced humans to try to understand their transformation. He had discovered something that worried him deeply. The quantum field that changed Morrison is still spreading, he told General Barrett. Every time an enhanced human uses their abilities, they create small quantum disturbances. These disturbances can trigger the transformation in other humans who are exposed to them. How many people are we talking about? Barrett asked. At the current rate of spread, every human in the galaxy could be enhanced within 10 years, Dr. Ross said. We are looking at the end of humanity as we know it. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Barrett asked. The enhanced humans are winning this war. Maybe, Dr. Ross said. But they are also becoming something that has never existed before. We do not know what they will become in the long term. The Council's leadership was meeting in emergency session on their home world of Nexus Prime for the first time in 1,000 years. They were facing an enemy they could not defeat through superior numbers or technology. Councillor Thexmar, one of the few moderate voices left in the council, spoke to his colleagues. We created this situation ourselves. We tried to execute Morrison to send a message about human limitations. Instead, we removed those limitations entirely. Judge Kolthara, the crystalline being who had sentenced Jack to death, was no longer as confident as she had been during the trial. The human enhancement is spreading beyond our ability to contain it. If we do not end this war soon, we may be facing an entire species of beings like Morrison. What do you propose? Asked Admiral Crixville, who had somehow survived his earlier defeat at Earth. We offer them what they want, Dexmar said. Complete independence from the Council, recognition as a sovereign species, an end to all hostilities. And if they refuse? Kolthara asked. Then we face extinction. Dexmar replied simply. The peace negotiations took place on a neutral space station near the center of the galaxy. President Hayes led the human delegation. Accompanied by Ambassador Valkyrie and several enhanced humans, including Captain Burke, Jack Morrison arrived separately, in a ship that seemed to respond to his thoughts rather than any physical controls. When he entered the meeting room, everyone present could feel the power radiating from him. His appearance had changed dramatically over the past months. His skin was now more blue than pink, his eyes glowed constantly, and when he moved it was with an inhuman grace that was both beautiful and terrifying. "Jack," President Hayes said softly, "are you still with us?" Jack turned to look at her, and for a moment his expression was completely alien. Then something shifted, and she could see a trace of the man she had known. "I am still here, President Hayes," he said, though his voice seemed to come from multiple sources at once. "But I'm also something more now." The council representatives were clearly afraid of him. They had brought their most powerful weapons and shields, but everyone in the room knew that Jack could disable their technology with a thought if he chose to. Councilor Lexmar spoke first. "We have come to offer terms for ending this conflict." "What terms?" Jack asked. "Complete human independence from council authority, recognition of your sovereignty, withdrawal of all council forces from human space." Jack was quiet for a long moment, his enhanced consciousness processing vast amounts of information. "The terms are acceptable," he said finally. "But they are not enough. What else do you want?" Dexmar asked. "I want to show you something," Jack said. He reached out with his consciousness and connected to the station's communication systems. Suddenly, every screen in the room came alive with images from across the galaxy. They showed enhanced humans working alongside aliens of different species, sharing their abilities and knowledge. "The transformation is not limited to humans," Jack explained. "The quantum field that changed me can affect other species as well. Some of your own people have already begun to evolve." The alien representatives were shocked. They had not known that the enhancement could spread to non-human species. "What are you saying?" Judge Kolthara demanded. "I'm saying that the old galaxy is ending," Jack replied. "The rigid divisions between species, the hierarchy of the council, the belief that some beings are superior to others, all of that is becoming irrelevant. A new form of life is emerging, one that transcends the boundaries between different species." "And you control this new form of life?" Admiral Crixville asked, his hand moving toward his weapon. Jack smiled, an expression that was both human and utterly alien. "I do not control it. I am it. We all are, if we choose to be. What happens to those who do not choose?" Dexmar asked. "They continue to exist as they always have," Jack said. "But they will be left behind as the galaxy evolves beyond them." President Hayes realized what Jack was offering. "You are not just proposing peace between humans and the council. You are offering a chance for all species to evolve together." "Yes," Jack said. "The council tried to destroy me because they feared human potential, but that potential exists in all life forms. The enhancement does not make humans superior to aliens or aliens superior to humans. It makes all of us something new." The negotiations continued for hours. In the end, the council agreed to more than just peace. They agreed to allow the enhancement to spread naturally throughout the galaxy, with no species forcing it on another, but also no species preventing it. As the meeting ended, President Hayes approached Jack one last time. "Will I ever see the old Jack Morrison again?" Jack looked at her with eyes that held both infinite wisdom and deep sadness. "He is still here, President Hayes. He always will be. But he is also part of something larger now." The council wanted to execute him to send a message about human limitations. Instead, they helped him transcend those limitations entirely. "Do you regret what you have become?" Jack considered the question carefully. "I regret the loss of my humanity. But I do not regret saving my species."